Hello, and welcome to the Futurum Tech Webcast. I'm your host, Shelly Kramer, and today we are talking about an ever relevant topic of adjusting to what we've called, over the course of the last couple of years, our new normal. And our new normal, in many instances, involves a hybrid workplace. My guest today is my friend Jim Newman. He's the president and CEO of HRIZONS, an HR cloud company. Jim and I spoke last summer about emerging from the pandemic and dealing with what we thought was going to be our post-pandemic world and the realities of our new hybrid workplace. And here we are 6 months later, still, elbows deep in a pandemic and dealing with some pretty unprecedented things like the Great Resignation. So Jim joins me today, and we're going to continue our conversation about HR tech and the role it plays in providing solutions to the challenges that are being faced by a tech-enabled workforce. We're also going to talk about the adjustments that companies are having to make in order to survive and prosper in a working world defined by that new normal. Jim, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks so much, Shelly. It's great to be here.
Always. So, talk a little bit I know you've been a regular guest on my show. I so enjoy our conversations. To our listening audience, what you don't know is that, when Jim and I do these shows, we spend about an hour in advance, before I hit the record button, talking about everything under the sun, some of which has nothing to do with the conversation that we're about to have. So we're pretty good pals. But anyway, Jim, for our audience, tell us a little bit about your company and your background, if you would.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, my career, has always been in HR and OD and HR cloud technology, which has really been my focus since founding Horizons about 15 years ago. And as you'd mentioned, Horizons is an HR cloud company. So what we do is we specialize in helping customers on their HR journey to the cloud with cloud technology. And we partner with SAP SuccessFactors and Qualtrics, and we bring what they call human experience management solutions and consulting and services for our customers. And so our focus as basic from a market standpoint is mid-market and enterprise-sized customers that span really the majority of industries. And what we're known for is being an innovator of cloud solutions and technologies. And as we've talked about in the past, as one of our award-winning solutions is Job Descriptions Made Simple, or JDS for short. So um, been in business for 15 years, as I'd mentioned. We operate in multiple countries, and of course, we're headquartered here out of the US. So hopefully that's a little bit of background for everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So let's talk about the job market. We have been seeing many changes over the course of the last year. Can you talk with us about a little about some of the trends that you're seeing and maybe what some of your customers are seeing as well?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, certainly we've all heard about the Great Resignation, and that increased turnover has created challenges for many of our customers. And as we even talked about before, the session, even for our own companies,
Yeah.
you have those challenges. There's definitely seen a lot of wage pressure, very competitive global workforce available to the market, and certainly the pandemic has influenced that greatly. Inflation is also, as we've seen in the news, been a huge concern and is playing a part in that wage pressure as well.
Right.
And companies just in general, it's always a challenge to find the right skills and fit for your company, but there is a real challenge to find those qualified employees, and it's forcing customers to reevaluate how they're going to develop and retain employees as well. I read in a recent article too, just about how that is a major shift that we're seeing is I used to be able to just go to market and bring in the skill set I need, but now they may not be available. So it's forcing companies to really think about developing within. And
Well,
oh, sorry,
no,
go
I was just going to add that, I think that that's where the role of technology comes in, because that what's happening is that we're being forced as business owners and leaders of organizations to think about, we may have put some technology solutions lower on our list of, nice to have, need to have, we'll integrate this into such and such budget at such and such a time. I think one of the things that the pandemic did for us is spur the adoption of technology at a more rapid pace because we needed it. Um, as we made a pivot to hybrid work, but or remote work, or both. But I think that that's what we're seeing too is really beginning to understand the role that technology can play when everyone is out there fighting for what is a very it seems like a very small talent pool, and especially when it comes to highly skilled tech talent and that sort of thing. So it's like, you know what, maybe it's time now to step back and think about how we can, those technology solutions that we've been putting on the back burner, maybe we need to look at those a little more closely and look at how integrating them not only changes the employee experience for our existing workforce, but helps fill some of the gap of, not being able to always find the workers that we need.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, companies are struggling with legacy technologies and not meeting the
Yeah,
needs of the new age workforce, the new generation, and the level of expectation they have around uh, the consumer experience of enterprise software. It
right,
has to be a good experience.
right.
Plus, you got to look at it from on the flip side. The employees want to maintain current skills. They don't want to work with old legacy tools. I mean,
Right,
they've got to market themselves too eventually. So they,
right,
whether it be internally or externally,
right,
and so they want to work with more current technologies. But you're right about the employee experience and that user experience. And we're sitting a lot of us in the knowledge worker space in particular, sit in front of computers, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day.
right,
You want that experience to be convenient, fast, efficient,
right.
seamless. You don't want to be pulling your hair out. See, that's what happened to me 20 years ago.
So, speaking about equipment, it always reminds me of, you and I spoke a little bit about our college age children. And I remember when one of my daughters, she was on a job two or three, probably three after school. She'd moved, she got a job for a big, really well known PR firm based in Chicago. She was so excited because she moved from our home in Kansas City to Chicago to take this job. And, just like she was just kicking butt, right? And she was so excited, and I remember when she started her first day and she texted me a photo of the computer that she had, and it was like, you know, the oldest giant piece of old equipment, and she was just like, "I can't believe this is my computer." Like, "What the heck, mom?" And then, later she told me, that you had to, you had to earn the right to have the privilege of using a laptop that you could take home to do work from home on. And she had to work there for like a year before she got a laptop. And but to your point, I mean, that's not gonna fly, that is and that was, oh gosh, that was like 12 years ago. So
Sure.
that's not gonna fly in the workplace right now. It's like, "Are you kidding me? This is what you expect me to work on? I'm gonna pass."
That's
So
right.
it's kind of interesting. So let's talk about what HR teams can do to kind of help future proof their business from the effects of some of these trending behaviors that we're dealing with, when it comes to their HCM experience.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think improving the employee experience is possible and much easier than in the old days with this new cloud-based HR technology that we're able to bring to customers. A lot of it is it's fully integrated. It can create a seamless and a positive user experience and get their job done better. And I think, you know, beyond the technology, it's using the technology to help employees understand, are they clear on their job and their expectations if you're onboarding a new employee or transferring
Right,
to a new position? Do they have quick access to HR policies like paid time off, which you and I have been talking about a lot, and the expectation of different generations have around PTO?
right,
Think about new benefits programs and rewards and recognition, and what's really important, career development and advancement. So, employees want access to manage their career, but they don't want it to be difficult, right?
right,
And so, what companies can do, and this is where technology is such an enabler, surveying employees annually has been done for decades, but
right,
doing it at key points in the employee life cycle, right? Getting pulse surveys, getting employees to be able to give you immediate feedback that you're constantly monitoring, very similar to what you do from a customer experience standpoint in this day and age,
right,
is where companies need to go that aren't there, and most companies aren't there. They haven't. They've so focused on the basics of human capital management that they haven't focused on human experience management. So if you want to
Right.
future proof, your business, you want to make sure that you can attract and retain your workforce and
Yeah.
develop your workforce. So by doing these things and surveying, it's great, so long as you demonstrate and build trust within that workforce that you're actually going to take action on the feedback and not just
Right.
collect the data. So that's really how HR, the future of HR, is helping their organizations be more progressive using these integrated technologies and then collecting the data, gaining the insights they need to affect positive change for the
Mhm.
organization.
Yeah, and, that's not really something that, you can go, with your gut on. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't go with your gut. You can't really manage it by way of a spreadsheet. I mean, it really is something that requires, I think, a little bit more of some developed solutions, and that's what's exciting about, to me, about what you and your team at Horizons do. So let's talk speaking of that, let's talk about, what technology solutions that Horizons provides that can support, that help customers support and sustain a hybrid workplace.
Sure. Well, all of the products that we bring to market, and a couple I'll give you an example, is SAP Success Factors and
Mhm.
Qualtrics, are to help our customers achieve employee experience management. And of course, as you know, we develop our own products such as Job Descriptions Made Simple, which I'd mentioned. And these are all fully integrated, and they ensure more successful deployments, and they also really help improve adoption so that the customers are getting a full return on their investment for these platforms. Now, with these cloud-based solutions, what's great about them, of course, is it does enable employees to work pretty much from anywhere as long as they've got a device and access to the internet. And so, what
Right.
this is doing is it's helping companies overcome the many challenges that we've been dealing with for the last couple of years and will continue to deal with this pandemic, or future challenges, and just competitive challenges with employees getting a taste from working from home or hybrid work environments. So these cloud-based solutions are critical for enabling employees to be productive outside of the traditional, brick and mortar workplace. And then really from a more strategic perspective, what these solutions do is they allow companies to be more agile. So HR teams need to be able to, in today's day and age, quickly adapt to change in their organizations, the competitive landscape for talent, organizational, for example, a merger and acquisition. Right.
Right.
So how are you going to integrate these two workforces over a period of usually a couple of years, 2, 3 years, and do that with technology? Very difficult. In the old days, it's getting easier and more agile. So what we do is we help customers on that journey to the cloud so that they have that platform or platforms that they can offer their workforce a better technology experience with HR. They,
Right.
as a function, can better collect their data, provide insights about the workforce to their management and leadership teams, and help shape the organization. So, for example, we have a product called Org Insight, and it helps organizations visualize their workforce, see kind of data, gain those insights. And just like with Qualtrics, where we help customers collect employee survey data, it gives the HR and the organization insight to take action. And that's what's so important. That's where the continuous improvement, that's what helps these organizations remain competitive and
Right.
ultimately, survive, because we're all being challenged with competition constantly.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you mentioned adoption, and this is something that, I think that people don't talk about a lot or think about a lot, but, technology alone is not the answer. You know? You can buy anything and add it to your technology stack, and if nobody's using it or nobody likes it or it's hard to use or whatever, there's that money, not delivering at all for you. So I think that that's one of the things that I like about, you mentioned your solution that it helps monitor adoption, and can you talk about that a little bit? I know I'm throwing you a little bit on
Yeah,
this
no,
one,
that's fine.
but, I'd love to
Yeah.
know more about how the Horizons technology solutions can help track, monitor, and really speed adoption throughout an organization.
Well, at the beginning, you asked me to, tell the audience a little bit about the company, and
Yeah,
one thing I spoke about was when I started focusing on HR cloud technology, I didn't say HR technology. I said HR
yeah,
cloud technology because in my career, I worked with legacy technology, and
Right.
it wasn't agile and it wasn't effective, and it was very difficult to get people to use. In fact, there was usually HR analysts using it. We didn't. No one in HR, never mind employees, used HR technology.
Right.
With cloud technology, it's changed the game. It, it's one of the only enterprise products that every employee touches. Every employee
Yeah.
logs in and uses, right?
Yeah.
It's not just for sales, it's not just for R&D. So what happens is that organizations have to take stock of their ability to affect and implement change.
Right.
So change management has become a bigger challenge. So the technologies are fabulous if they're deployed correctly, but the internal challenges that organizations face is around change management, which is why when we help customers, we represent and build products that are very integrated, so that the adoption part of it, the training part of it for the end user is much easier and seamless. I had a customer come to me and say, I love this product you guys built, but change management is an son of a gun for us, and we just spent millions of dollars trying to get our employees just to log into success factors and go to their home screen. I
Right.
said, well, here's why we design products where the user already knows how to do that.
Yeah.
All they do is click this button and they get into the product, even though it's our product. And he looked at me and he was like, "Are you
Are you
serious?"
kidding?
Yeah,
I'm so
this was
excited.
a few years ago. This was when this was pretty new, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "That's the difference." He goes, "That would save us so much on change management, so much time, so much money, and oh my god, I got to see this product now." And
Yeah.
and that's what we do now. Does that remove the responsibility from the customer? No. Can providers like us help the customer, guide them best practices, methodologies, toolkits, change management communications? Yes,
Sure.
yes, yes. We can do all those things, but a lot of it's still on the customer, no matter how much service we do or don't provide.
Right.
But that adoption and then being able to fully consume the product so that the customer gets the ROI, that's a big part of what we do. We've evolved as a company 10 plus years ago. We would deliver the project. Now, what we say to customers is, we're your partner for
We're
30
your
plus
partner.
years.
We're here to help you through all of this. Yep.
Post go live services, helping them, being a trusted advisor, guiding them through. So it's, and educating senior level executives that this isn't a set it and forget it experience for your company.
Right.
This
Right.
is implement it, get adoption, and then consumption, and then constant fine tuning. A
Yeah.
simple analogy is it's kind of like buying a car. You don't buy a car and then forget about it. You've got to maintain it.
Maintain
You've
it.
got to put it
Mhm.
on. You might have to upgrade the tires, redo the brakes. You might have
Yeah.
to fix stone chips. I mean, it's not set it and forget it. So, but
Well,
yeah,
and
you're right about the adoption.
I think too, part of this, is speaks to digital transformation journeys in general. And, if there is a notion that there's a beginning and an end, that is an incorrect notion. And, we have experienced over the course of the last decade, over the course of the last 5 years, um, change at an incredibly rapid pace.
Hmm.
That is not going to slow down. That is actually going to speed up.
Hmm.
And so understanding that, the days of the 5-year plan, right? Those are gone. I mean, you can go ahead and do that. Good luck. But, really today's, I think operations and business strategies in general really need to be so much more agile, and things that we're looking at, quarterly, at mid-year, at year end, and constantly not only maintaining that car, but looking at measuring, tweaking, letting the data be your guide, seeing what kind of results. Here's what we expected. Here's what here's what we thought success looked like. Here's what we expected to happen. Here's what actually did happen. Okay, how do we need to change? Maybe we need to shift our strategy. Maybe we need to shift how it is we're, going along the path to achieving that strategy. So to me, and I realize that I'm an anomaly here, and I have a feeling that you are wired a little bit the same way I am, but I actually love change, and I thrive in, I thrive in a state of chaos, and I thrive in a state of uncertainty, and I am not risk averse, and I absolutely understand that everybody is not that way. But that makes me well suited as a leader to understand the need to be agile. And I think that, one of the things I say all the time is that, navigating a global pandemic has really sucked. Okay, period, end of story. It has not been fun. But the silver lining to me, and there's always, I'm always looking for a silver lining, is that what it did do is it taught us some really important lessons. And it taught people that thought that work can only be done in an office, that that's not correct. And it taught us that, building businesses that are future proof, building businesses that can pivot quickly as needed, regardless of how large they may be. Those are the things that speak to business continuity and business resilience. Those are the kind of businesses that have strong foundations that will continue to grow and prosper and thrive. But you've got to understand that your digital transformation journey is truly that. It's a journey that will continue on, and it's the route to success there is understanding the need to tweak and measure and and constantly adjust along the way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And change provides the opportunity to innovate. It forces you to
Yeah,
innovate or
yeah,
sometimes become a dinosaur. And I think that's why, as entrepreneurs, we embrace change and
yeah,
see it that way. And I look at it very much the same. And I think what we're also doing as leaders, and whether it be implementing new technology or changing your business strategy, you're setting a direction and a vision, but it doesn't mean you know exactly how you're going to get there.
yeah,
And so you have to be able to pivot and zig and zag. And with these technologies in larger organizations in particular, I mean, you and I run smaller organizations, but you think of these mega organizations with thousands and thousands of employees, you
right.
know, you need to empower your leaders, your directors, your managers, and listen to your employees. And so that's what these
Yeah,
technologies allow us to do: collect data, listen to employees, take action, improve, fine tune as the organization is learning how to operate better
yeah,
under these new pressures and the new vision, or the existing vision that you're trying to drive the organization towards executing.
yeah.
So you just can't do it without, you can't scale and do this at scale without technology, and
No.
you need technology that's agile enough to support the needs and creates that right user experience. So that's at the end of the day what we believe in, and that's why I'm so passionate about our business, is because we know our customers are going to be better if
Yeah,
they follow these recipes
yeah.
and adopt these best practices and deploy these technologies.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So we've touched on employee engagement and and I know your answer. I mean, I know that we're 100% on the same page here, but let's talk a little bit about what role employee engagement plays in making a hybrid workplace a successful practice for employers going forward.
Yeah, employee expectations have increased dramatically with respect to HR technology, with respect to
Yeah,
how organizations treat their workforces, how they support their communities and causes as well that the workforce cares about. So HR, we look at it through a technology lens, has to be able to deliver a consumer-like technology experience to its employees. Right? Employee and manager self-service, for example, should be readily available with HR business partners, people available for more difficult, complex issues, of course. But that
right.
technology should be easy. If I need to change my address or my marital status or look something up, a benefits program, it shouldn't be difficult. I mean, I can Google it on a consumer level. Why can't I just internally just quickly go somewhere and get the information I need? Self service. I don't want to be bothered having to phone someone, explain, ask a gazillion questions. I just want to research quickly and get an answer. So that's really a key way to help deal with these, improving employee engagement. The other thing that these platforms do is it's a vehicle for communication from leadership. It creates more visibility. It's easier to find. It allows HR, for example, to showcase career development programs, company sponsored community programs, for example, as well, where look, we're organizing this. We want our employees to get involved and engaged in the community. Here's a That's at your fingertips. So those are the types of things that improve engagement. And of course, when it comes to the job itself, employees, they need to be empowered to do their jobs, right? They don't want to be told what to do anymore. They want, "Hey, what's my job? Train me how to do it. Explain me where my tools are. And then I just want to go execute. I want to do a great job and I want to be fulfilled in my role in this company." So part of that is, for example, even being able to review their job description online, leveraging their
Right.
capabilities around uh, how they're going to execute that job successfully, how they're going to develop the skills they need. So HR is making this shift, and we've talked about actually HR being strategic for decades. But when it comes to technology, the focus now is on enabling versus administering as much. They still have to
Right.
administer, but enabling. And then to do that, you have to be able to solicit feedback from those employees and managers and develop these continuous feedback loops and action plans so that you're making improvements to keep engagement levels high, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the entire employee life cycle. So how do you do that without operational and experience management technology platforms? The answer is simple. You don't. You
You
need
don't.
technology. So so these are the ways that organizations can institute the technology platforms they need, the culture they need, and really do it with visibility and transparency by leveraging these as communication vehicles and enablement vehicles for their employees.
Well, so let's talk about job descriptions. You just touched on that. How important are job descriptions? And I will admit that I had never thought about how important job descriptions are until until you and I got acquainted, and I understood more about the challenges that job descriptions present within an organization. So, how important are they? And especially as companies are dealing with the Great Resignation,
Yeah, well, they're very important, and we're passionate about this, and let's just share with the audience. Let's just some fundamentals, right? Job
right?
descriptions are one; they're the basis for recruiting new employees. Right? What is the job that they're going to be doing? How are you advertising this? They're the basis for compensation and pay grades, and how are people going to be paid for that job, and how does it compare to the market? They're ensuring the organization's compliant with regulations um, uh, and dealing with accommodating employees in their jobs when they have some sort of a physical challenge or
Right.
some sort of a disability. They define what the employee is responsible for, what certifications they need. That could be a compliance thing in certain industries. What skills and experiences are required. So you think about that. They really, again, they're empowering managers and employees to say, hey, what jobs are available for me in this organization? What's my current job expectation? How am I going to be successful? And so that's a real benchmark to manage and measure the employees again. But what's the challenge of that? Well, how do you keep those job descriptions up to date? Most of our customers have hundreds, if not thousands, of job descriptions, right?
Yes.
And they're trying to match people to jobs, right?
Right.
So if you don't have your jobs well defined, how do you match the people to those jobs and remain compliant? Well, again, the answer is you don't.
You
Um,
don't.
and they help employees understand. We were talking about employee engagement and career development being one of the critical ingredients. How does an employee? We hear that often from people and customers in particular that are struggling with this is their employees don't know what other jobs are available in their organization, so they leave.
Right.
Right? I mean, I can wait till a job posting, but why are you waiting until you need them? Why aren't you promoting
Yeah.
the job that they want to aspire to proactively so that they
Right.
can grow into that job and talk to their managers and HR about it? And organizations have to change their culture. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of
Yeah.
an employee wanting to grow and develop. I mean, put yourself in their shoes when you're at that stage of your career.
Yeah.
We all want that, right? Or most people do.
Well,
So
and I think that that's also what we're seeing in terms of the future of work and some of the changes that we're seeing in the workplace and what our employees are wanting from organizations that they work with. And there are things that I can promise you were not ever part of, offerings when I was making my way in the early years. But, employees care a lot about things like financial wellness and, financial wellness programs that are offered within an organization. And mental health being a part of, being something that's not shameful, but that's being part of health and wellness initiatives. And reskilling and upskilling and career development. And, they're coming into organizations saying, these are all the things that are important to me, and if I'm going to choose to, work for this company, I want to know that, I want to know that these things are important to you too. And I want to know that you understand that my career progression is important to me and that you're supporting me along the way. And so I think that that's it's incredibly important, especially as we try to hold on to people. And the other thing I think that we see though is that, you know, I think a lot of times the mindset is, should I stay? Should I go? What have you done for me lately? And if you're not actively creating a culture all the time that lets employees know how important they are to you and that you do very much care about the things that they care about. And oh, by the way, if the programs that we've implemented with regard to career development opportunities, learning development, whatever it is, if those aren't hitting the mark, we want to know so that we can fix that. And so I
Right.
think that that's kind of the shift that leaders need to take, HR leaders and beyond, as it comes to culture, as it relates to, technology within the workplace. I mean, it's gone well beyond, I don't want to have a POS computer on my desk that's 1,000 years old. It's gone beyond, the equipment to, what other kinds of offerings. And, when you were talking about job descriptions, how great would it be to, as an employee, to just to be notified, hey, Jim, you may or may not have seen this job posting, but here's an opportunity in such and such division, blah, blah, blah. It seems like a perfect match for your skill sets. Would you be interested in coming in and talking about it? Like that never happens.
Well, it should happen, right? And we should be empowering employees to be able to explore their options and let them know that we care about them holistically. I mean, that's really the shift. I think it's, we used to care about employees from 9 to 5. Now we
Right.
care about employees holistically because their work and home and personal life is so intertwined. I mean,
Right.
look at the challenges we're facing going beyond COVID-19 or as a contributor. I mean, fatigue, right? The work from home metamorphosis, mental emotional health deterioration that that we're challenged with as a society with all these changes we're adapting to, childcare, caregiver demands with aging parents. I mean, all these things impact people's ability to be productive, and they want to work for organizations that care and that will
Right.
support them through those life events.
Right.
So, you know, having the right policies, programs, and certainly technologies helps organizations to become the kind of organization that retains its workforce and develops that workforce over time. But it's a challenge, and there's a lot of business challenges that that are happening concurrently. So to say well, we'll just create this utopia vision for HR, it's not. We know it's not easy, but you have to aspire to it. You have to keep working towards it, or you'll your competitors will. They'll figure out
Yeah.
a way, and you won't.
Well, or, your employees will go to work for your competitors. I mean, it really is that simple.
It's that simple. Yep.
It really is that simple. So, always a fascinating conversation, Jim. I know that, the benefit of kind of being a nerd and having a whole bunch of nerdy friends is that, we love these topics and we could talk about them forever. And it's always such a pleasure being able to hang out with you and have you share some of your great insights with us. So thank you for coming on the show yet again. And I look forward to seeing you over here again sometime soon.
Yeah, Shelly, it's been a pleasure and really enjoy our conversations. I hope the audience finds them beneficial as well. I hope to do it again.
Absolutely. And I will include for our audience, thank you so much for joining us. No matter where you might find us on YouTube, you might find us on the Futurum blog, you might find us through your favorite streaming platform. I will include a link to Jim's LinkedIn profile. I encourage you, if you are not yet connected to him, to reach out. I know he would love that. And if you have any questions about HR technology and how Jim and HRIZONS and his team might be able to help you, I know he is more than happy to talk with you about it. So with that, thank you, and we'll see you again next time.